Well, thank you, Helen. And firstly, Helen, can I ask, how is your daughter?
Not so good. In fact, she's wanting me right now, but I'm very busy and important, so I'm staying here.
Okay, well, we'll give her my best. No, I mean, you're absolutely right to call both of us out on not having mentioned children. And I'm kicking myself because before I was elected, I was for 2 years the convener of the Scottish Alliance for Children's Rights. This is why I'm in politics. I was a youth worker for 19 years as well. And so children really matter to me. And I was devastated. I mean, again, there's been a lot of learning points on my journey to understand long COVID, not least hearing your testimony. I think at the first CPG about your daughter's situation, and I just found that devastating. And in a lot of ways, I mean, we all know adults who are and many of you will be adults who have been incapacitated in some ways, had careers cut short and very serious aspects of your life closed off to you, but in so many ways that's amplified for children. We're talking about big sections of short lives, and that's big sections of time missed at school. That's big sections of time socializing with peers, or just learning through play. All of those are closed off. So I think we need to recognize that working with third sector stakeholders, with pressure groups like yourselves, with Long-Term Conditions Alliance, to look at how we can embed understanding and training both in our teaching population and in other sort of amongst other significant adults in children's lives as to how to work and to adapt things like curriculums to children with long COVID needs. It's much the same as the fact we've been getting this wrong for young people with cancer or young people with chronic fatigue for far too long. I think that the scale of long COVID means that we will have to, as political classes, wake up and smell the coffee about the need to start adapting up big tracts of our lives for the people who will be living among us who are suffering these conditions, and children are at the heart of that. In terms of making rights real, I mean, a lot of this also hinges on, I think, justiciability. Let's remember, we are still in limbo with regard to children's rights in this country. The SNP, to great fanfare, just before the last Scottish elections in May, passed the UNCRC bill, only they didn't, because they put a clause in it which they knew would trigger a legal challenge by the UK government. It wasn't a significant thing that it wasn't a big deal. It didn't mean the UK government was saying we couldn't make children's rights real, but they wanted that fight in the foothills of the election, and they've never made it right. So we still don't have justiciability for children's rights in Scots law. That is an outrage, and something I and my party, and I know the Labour Party, have been questioning or fighting for tooth and nail ever since. I've said quite a lot. I'll let Jackie come back in.
Over to you, Jackie.
Thank you very much. He's very kind. He lets me in, I think there are two things that worry me. And if we deal with the right to education first, the reality is the pandemic was really disruptive for all our kids, whether it was on, sorry, somebody's trying to phone me. Let me get rid of that. Whether it was on the basis of the disruption to their education, or the isolation and the disruption to them growing, as social individuals. So for me, this kind of term that we've all coined these days, living with COVID, needs to be real. So ventilation in schools, there's very little has actually practically happened, other than lots of local authorities have purchased CO2 monitors, but they've done nothing else. I haven't met yet a local authority that has chopped the bottom off the classroom door, but that was certainly in the guidance that was distributed. So we need to make ventilation in our schools, indeed in our public buildings, a #1 priority, because it might not be COVID next time, it might be something else, but ventilation is key, I think, to dealing with that. The other thing I'm very conscious of is people talk about catch-up plans for kids. Now, to try and ram, 2 years of missed schooling into a catch-up plan is going to be really challenging, depending on your age and stage within the education system. We need to invest more in what I would describe as homeschooling, but during the pandemic, schooling went online. In some areas, it was better than others. We did not have the material, the teachers didn't have the resources. We should be investing in that now, because kids will be off sick, there will be periods of time they're absent, and this way at least they can keep up. So getting that blended learning model right is something we should invest time in now. Turning to healthcare, and I'll try and be quick, I am really genuinely nervous about the cases of hepatitis appearing in children. Nobody quite knows what the cause is. They're ruling out vaccination because a number of the kids affected haven't had vaccinations, but could they have had COVID-19? Because the cases are developing at a rate that is quite scary. And it's not just in the UK, it's also elsewhere across the globe. So I am nervous about what's going on there. And that takes me then to what treatments are available. So we're having a discussion about antivirals for a small group of people who are immunosuppressed, and it is a small group of people. It's not even the group that we're shielding. What can we do in that space? And there are prophylactics coming onto the market that the UK Medicines Agency have looked at, but I don't think have reached Scotland yet. Are any of them suitable for children? Is this where we should be going? Because I'm afraid COVID is here to stay, and it's how we deal with it in the future and how we mitigate the potential impact it might have on kids as well. I'll stop there.